2nd, 2024. First off, any changes or additions to the agenda tonight? I don't have any.
I don't have it.
Cool. All right. Hold on, easy. All right, on to 3, which is approval of the minutes from November 4th, 2024. And I'll just get that up for myself, but I will take a motion to approve the minutes from our meeting on November 4th, 2024.
So moved.
I'm going to abstain, so I can't second. Or can I?
This is Amy. I'll second.
All right, thank you. Any discussion on those minutes? I'm just popping them open right now just to double check, but I think they are probably fine. Let me change the date of our meeting. Yep. Looks good to me. Hearing no discussion on those minutes, I will take a roll call vote. And we'll start with the folks online. It looks like Elizabeth's joined us. Hello, Elizabeth.
Aye.
Hello.
Minutes, if you missed that.
No, I got it. I got it.
I think you're saying aye, not hi.
Oh,
I was confused too. All right, so Elizabeth, how do you vote?
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Bill,
I abstain.
Megan,
Aye.
and Nancy. Nancy is not here or on the internet, just in case. No, Nancy? Okay, and I'm an aye as well. All right, so those minutes are approved with Bill abstaining and Nancy absent. Okay. On to the next item, which is public comment on non-agenda items or announcements. And before we check that, I will read my little statement. Usually I do not have it open. So. My computer's getting in class. It's going to be open quick. Shouldn't have said anything. There it is. All right. Public comment is not legally required, but we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns over issues. Through these meetings, our board models for our students how to conduct public discourse, and that the board and members of our community can approach controversial issues in a civil and constructive manner and can demonstrate mutual respect. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. Public comment period is not designed for discussion. Please start by identifying yourself and what town you reside in and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. All right, so any public comment? Elizabeth.
I just wanted to say that Mean Girls is being performed at the high school on Friday and Friday evening. And also on Saturday, there's 2 performances. One's a matinee and one in the evening.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And I'm just double checking. I think I'm going to go to one of the Saturday ones, but make sure it's on my calendar. Totally is. Cool. Got me to the Saturday night.
It's gonna be good.
I know. I've heard good things. One of my friends who works at the school is telling me how good it is.
Yeah.
She saw some of the rehearsals.
Yep.
All right. Any other public comment or announcements? All right. Well, hearing none, let's move on to our administrative report, and that will start with our student presentation of learning.
That is, which is part of your report?
Yes,
Okay, so it'll be embedded in the
it's embedded.
admin report,
Cool.
so.
All right.
I will share. And slideshow. All right, so We will, Tracy's online. She's gonna start us off with the elementary school updates.
Hi, everyone. November and December are short, busy months at school, with holidays and conferences and things to look forward to. It seems like we don't get just a full week of classes and without some kind of interruption, which is all positive. I think the kids have worked really hard. We are definitely in the curriculum groove, right? Where we know what we're doing. Teachers are really invested in the curriculums. So these little breaks for the students, I think, are really rewarding and positive. We had a great turnout for conferences. About 83% of the families participated in some way. We did have a couple different variations of conferences that took place. And that's something we're discussing as a staff, that which works best for our families. Did they get what they wanted from conferences, and did we get to deliver the information we wanted? So we're working to put together a survey to help kind of drive what type of a conference we host or offer in March. But I thought that was a really great turnout. We also have done a lot of work around what we used to call it our SEI room, right? Our social emotional interventionist room. We're now calling it our response room because our SEIs are embedded in the classrooms now. So hopefully working hard to identify and support behavior so that students do not need to leave the room to go to the response room. But we do have it staffed with some returning people that have been out on leave, and now we have a full crew. We're able to run the room in a way that it offers social emotional lessons. So it's supporting some of our IEP students, offering scheduled breaks for students that have that in their plan, and then also responding to any radio calls. And I look forward to reporting some of our Power School information because I think we're really starting to see a decline in some of the behaviors that we have experienced in the past. So I'm really excited about this for ourselves and for our students as well. The turkey trot was last Tuesday, which is always a big hit, and we have to thank the PTO for supporting us in that. I think it was a 5th grade class that won today, and they won by counting hand slaps as they came around, who got the most high fives. And so that was a nice way to send the kids off to the holiday break. I am deep in supervision and evaluation. I have to say, I really appreciate the system that Christine has in place for working with teachers. Some of them have formal evaluations, either 1 or 2 times a day, where there's a lot of time for us to talk in pre-conference and then observation, and also in post-conferences. Other teachers are goal setting. And then we're meeting a couple times throughout the year to just touch base on the progress they're making towards their goals. And quite a few of them are involved in action research. So they're looking at some of the programs that they're interested in, or what might, fill a little gap in their experience or their knowledge. And it's a great, I'm enjoying the system, and it's help really making me spend a lot of time in classrooms, which is where I love to be. And then this week we started our STEAM program. So if you remember, we last year the library position shifted to include STEAM. We didn't fill the role until October, and then we hit the pause button on the program to make sure that we developed it in a way that was not just to teach another class, but to have some purpose. So Tara Custer and Maddie Vidilla have been visiting other schools and researching STEAM. And so we're in a 3-week block right now. And the picture you see is, I think it's one of our 2nd grade classes. That was one of the first STEAM classes. And they were experimenting with using a piece of paper, what's the longest strip you could make. And they had to work together in teams. So I look forward to telling you a little bit more about that program as the year unfolds and we try different models for it.
All right, thanks, Tracy. Kate, you're up.
I am up. I did put on the high school about the Mean Girls coming up, and Elizabeth was correct. It's 7 p.m. on Friday and 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Saturday. There is a 20-minute preview on Friday morning about 8:50 at the school if you can't make those. And I also want to make a plea. So it just so happens that Tim Meadows, who is the principal in the movie, is giving a one-day show at the Woodstock Inn on Saturday. So we've, and the students and myself, and Lauren, have been trying to get a message to him that if he could send a message to our cast or make an appearance at a show, that would be amazing. So I don't know if anyone has any connections there, but it never hurts to ask, right? Following up on our arts, some of our students participated in the district music festival, and they were accompanied by, it was a district, an SU-wide thing, but from our school, they were accompanied by Brian and Becky. And what they do is they go to Bellows Falls for 2 full days, a full Friday and a full Saturday. And they do intense practice with trained professionals, and then they put on a concert at the end. There'll be another one in the spring if you have any interest in ever going to one. It's supposed to be a really neat experience, and Windsor was well represented, so we're thankful for that. My kind of slide always sticks to the 3 main goals: experiences, community, and improving math success. So those were kind of our experiences. And for community, I'm very thankful to Tracy Price. We've been trying to get this space, this infinity space, up and running for our high school. And what that is, it's a group to provide space for Black, Indigenous people and people of color. And we invite students to join us. And it's led by a person from Hartford and by Theo Advent, who's been a great addition to our staff in the high school. So we have it established now, and we've been promoting it. We just haven't had people attending. So that is our next kind of step to get people who want to attend. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is we've been using all our professional development. We've been working with the Agency of Education. And what we're doing is the educational quality standards. We've been working with each content specialist from the state, and they've been coming down. And I'm going to send you a couple documents for you to look at before we present the next board meeting. And our team leaders have been paired with them. And the end product is going to be that we have like these unified assessments at the end. So they're called performance tasks. And these are we've already, and Bridget Ferriel has taken the lead on this, and she's been outstanding. It's been so well received by our staff because they've been asking for this since we made the switch to proficiency-based learning. And we are now using Tuesday afternoons to keep this work going. And our goal is that we'll roll this all out for the students in the fall. And this will meet their PLPs. It meets the portrait of a grad proficiencies. So this has kind of been on our radar for about 7 years. And then it got stalled, if not stopped, during COVID. And the teachers were asking for it, and we got it up and running. And we've already met with Christine and Larry about what we need Power School changes to look like. So we're really excited about this. And we're asking for feedback from the teachers after every session, and we're getting nothing but positives. So it's been a really great experience.
Do the content specialists, are they full-time AOE employees or?
Yep, they're full-time AOE employees, and they come down on site and visit us, so it's not remote.
Okay.
So we met with them. This has been planned, and this started being planned last March, I believe, when we had our first meeting.
And
So-
it's free.
Yeah, I just get hesitant about the quality of people that work directly for the AOE.
We've heard nothing but
tell them
positive
that you
feedback. What'd you say, Kate? You're
I
going to tell
will
them.
tell them that you said that, Bill.
Well, I haven't met a lot of them, but the ones I do meet tend to be just kids. But
Oh, no, they're not.
Yeah,
Not children.
And they've been doing this. It's participatory action research. They've done it with other districts, so we're not
Yeah.
the first. And so they've kind of got a refined process. So it's pretty exciting. Very exciting. And we hope to hopefully keep
Backwards by design.
partnership with them and move to the middle level and elementary level. But
Yeah,
sorry,
it's
Kate.
great. I'm going to share the documents that we have so far with you and kind of the graphic that's provided for like what our steps should be and where we are in that graphic. It's been pretty neat to watch it all. Like it felt like this insurmountable task. How are we going to get this done? And now we are getting it done. So it's nice to see.
Oh, but feel free to tell them I said that, because
No, thank
I've told groups of them that before, but they're all the group of people that I tend to work with, like the data people and.
I think the team leader is Pat Fitzsimons. I don't know if you ever worked with Pat, but
Not a
Nope.
child.
Nope.
she's pretty great.
Yes. Elizabeth, did you have a question too?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I was just
I thought I saw
sending,
your hand raised.
clapping hands. That's all. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to ABS. Colleen is not able to be here tonight. At this time, she may be able to get on late, and she said she would add some comments then, but we'll go right to Jennifer.
So just an update, since our October meeting, lots of things have been going on. So our student-led assembly, we've had our first one of those, which is pretty awesome. See in the top corner. One of the things I love about these small communities that we're in is that one of the things we say is once an Albert Bridge kid, always an Albert Bridge kid. And they come back. So in the haunted trail, like all of the older kids come back and participate in the trail. And that's pretty exciting to see. And they also come back to the school often and join us. We've had a lot of just kind of student initiated things. So Mountain Day, you'll see when I do the other presentation, was really a student driven focus. We have our community stuff. Our open house was really, those who got to participate, was really about students showing what was going on to everybody around. A couple of you had the chance to come. And even in like our bike days, like the students became the ones who created the pathways with which the children rode through and where they had to stop, and became like the stop sign police people. And it was just great to see how the older kids would stop and support. And are you okay if I take over so I can do the student presentation? So I'll share now.
Yeah.
And I just want to share where the leadership team is. The leadership team in our school now is really anchored in the student work. So let me share with you where we are in the map. See if this works. Slideshow. Okay, so here's where we are. So there's these 9 kind of standards or norms that we like to advocate, and we share these with our students. And the student leadership team, which consists of primarily 3 through 6, and second graders get invited, but they don't get a voting voice. They can have their physical voice, but they don't get a vote. Those who want to, and not everybody has to come. Everybody has choice, but you know, most people come. And this is what they turn them into, which I think is really one of the things I'm excited about and how we're moving forward. Is they didn't just take our words; they said, "What does this mean for us?" And so they found images and created their own language. So when we think about those images, these are the things that they thought were really important out of the original list, right? This is the adult language. This is more the kid language. And what I thought was also really interesting is that we were then able to ask them, like, what is it that you think you have the hardest time with? What's the one that's going to make a challenge for you? And then they voted, right? So 2 of them have trust is a hard one. 2 of them have speak from the heart is a hard one. Changing your thinking. 6 of them noticed that that's hard for them. How, like in elementary school, I can't imagine having thought of this stuff when I was in elementary school. To notice that it's hard for you to remain engaged. So I think that was really one of those early bright lights for us as a group, just to notice that they notice about themselves. So here are some of their big goals that they have going on for them. They have, during the fall, so Mountain Day, I shared a picture with you. They were in charge of designing what was going to happen there. During the Harvest Festival, they participated and created an awful lot of what happened there, and then they led it. They served, they set it up, they built the decorations. It was really just a student-led thing. The only thing they didn't make is some of the food, right? And so really just giving big kudos to not only them, but the adult leadership team that's supporting them is great. We're coming up with Love loved ones lunch. Global Day of Play is one of the things they all really value. It's a whole day where we basically say, in this day, we as adults, we're going to make sure everything's safe, but we're going to go with your kind of intuition and really follow that. And then spring outdoor day of learning. And they also want to be a big part of LARP Day. They want to do that instead of a traditional field day. And LARP is live action role play. Okay, so then they created committees. So kids are on different committees. They get to choose what committee they want to be on. And they want to try and figure out how to change things in the school. Some things they want to change are like big picture ideas. Other things are small, easy to change things. But we're trying to give them a path of like, how do we do this? How do we walk through the process? So then we've got committee members in each group. So each team. So they also want to have a voice at staff meetings, which I thought was really cool. So we have a group that's going to be coming to our, yeah, yes.
Priorities.
And a good executive functioning, right? And so then they are taking notes. So this is an example, like here's a day that they do, right? So different people are like talking. So this is what they're doing as a group, just each time they meet, and we meet twice a week when possible as a team during lunchtime, so it doesn't take out of other learning. And it really is a fully engaged process. Kids are excited to come here. They want to come here. They want to share. They want to invest. So this is where we are. One of the things we're trying not to do is push them too quickly. And we talked about them presenting here, and they're like, we could rush and do this, this, and this. And I said, do we want to rush? They're like, no, we don't. We really don't want to rush to make it happen. We want it to be a more authentic, because we go back to some of our norms, right? Which is making sure this was the one that came up like let's not pretend. Let's make sure we're really there. So I really appreciate the work that the group's doing. And you know, when you're talking about 3rd through 6th graders, what a gift it is to be able to give them some of the reins and be able to let go of some of it. And you'll see like all this stuff that's out. We're about to start our December exploratory time. And because of information that they've given us, we're going to do a full school thing instead of just a 3 through 6 and a K1, 2. And they kind of gave us ideas of what they wanted. And they're helping us with some of their backstories and cultures. So we've got, you know, one student who celebrates on December 6th. There's it's a St. Nicholas Day from Germany, right? So we've got something that anchors to that and the story that goes with that the kids can tell. And so we're going to celebrate throughout the month of December leading into the solstice that they've helped us develop. And so that's where we are. And I just feel super lucky that we've got a group of adults who get that that's really powerful. And the kids absolutely love it. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you. Do I stop it? Yay.
That's super exciting. I just have to say. Very cool. Now for the rest of the report, which is not nearly as cool.
I know, kids work. It's what we're all about, right?
Yeah.
I can attest how great Harvest Fest was too.
Yeah,
They did
was
an
pretty great.
amazing job pulling it all together, and you know, serving, and all the displays were so cool. It was really, really great.
They were pretty fantastic. All right. I've got a few things to share tonight. I wanted to bring you, I know I shared at the SU meeting, I think it was last week, the SU-wide Dibbles data, but I wanted to share you the Mount Escutney specific data. And I'm sorry about that icon in the middle of the screen. I don't see it on my screen. I can't figure out how to get it off. So it's there. So as you can see from the fall data, there are a significant number of students in the intensive support area, which is important for us to know and respond to, because we know how important literacy is for life. So we are working with our local literacy team to create a plan based on the law, the new literacy law. A survey just went out today to survey all our teachers to see what particular trainings they've had in terms of literacy. And our goal will be to get at least all K2, K3 teachers trained in explicit and systematic reading instruction, which we know the science tells us is the best approach to teaching kids how to read and be literate. So we'll continue to bring back this data to show you, and hopefully we'll see some growth and improvement, and we will see growth and improvement over time. And parents of students in that intensive support category will receive notification. That's part of the law. They have to receive notification about where their student is at. And the letter will provide some resources for parents as well to help support that work in the home.
Is there, within the law, is there any guidance to the assessment you should be using?
Wouldn't that be great,
Yeah.
Bill? So, no, we heard that there'll be guidance in January,
Okay.
But we also, knew that we needed to assess our students, which we did. We didn't know we were going to have to send notification home this year. We anticipated next year, but we do, and we've got, the state did send a template letter that we've adapted. That Patty Gray, our curriculum and instruction specialist, is kind of leading that charge with the school interventionists and teachers to get that data out to families. But in January, we were told in January we would get some information from the AOE on assessments. I'm not sure why the state isn't using the same assessment across the board, but
So what grade levels are these?
that's first grade,
Okay.
first, second, and third.
Elizabeth's had her hand up for a while. Elizabeth, what's your comment?
Oh, thank you. Christine, when did our supervisory union stop using Fontes and Pinnell?
Oh, that's a good question. I think we were probably still using bits and pieces of it, Elizabeth.
Through COVID.
Through
I think,
COVID, yeah.
And so are these students are not I'm
No.
sort of I
This is
wonder
not-
what the long-term effect of that
Yeah.
curriculum has been, and whether students who learned how to read using it have recovered from it.
Yeah,
Not just COVID.
it's a great question. It's a great
It was
question.
also partnered with foundations.
It was, but
Right.
not consistently across all
Yeah.
classrooms across the SU, which is really some of the impetus for the adoption of a curriculum, which is grounded in the science of reading. I mean, the curriculum we adopted is. So I hope to see some improvement in this area each year. I mean, over time, hopefully. But we've got, in my experience in education, the results of early literacy assessments like this are mixed. What I tend to see is in third grade, it starts to level off and kids have figured it out. And the data looks better. It doesn't typically look great in the early years.
One of the main issues is the developmental levels within these grade levels vary so greatly
Yeah.
that it's not a particularly accurate measurement of where a student's at developmentally.
Right.
Which is why I've always sort of supported Jennifer's idea of, kind of moving away from grade levels in the early years and going to groupings.
Progressions, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a great question, Elizabeth. We'll keep a lookout and see. I'm pretty positive, if I'm thinking correctly, the information we just saw, I think our middle level literacy data was pretty good. So anyway, I just wanted you to have Mount Scottney's budget update. So you all know we're waiting on the SU board to approve the SU budget. Hopefully that will happen next Monday if we get enough people at the meeting, which will help Larry finalize the local budgets. We just received the December tax letter this afternoon, I think around 2:30 or 3. And in that letter, there was a projected 5.9 average property tax bill increase, which is significant, but it's not double digit, so that is encouraging. That's projected, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. So Larry's been working with the local, with the principals in the local schools on the local budgets. He has completed preliminary draft budgets for Heartland and Weathersfield. Those are up on the website in the budget book format. He's currently working on the Mount Escutney, which is the largest one, obviously with the most moving parts, but he's anticipating it should be available on the website by the end of this week or early next week at the latest. And he's met with the principals and myself. We finished the wage and benefits for Mount Escutney. And with everything that we're aware of at the moment, the budget, the Mount Escutney budget is up 6.59%. Larry wanted me to share that last year at this time it was, I think it was around 9%, so a little bit better. We do have a budget committee meeting on the 17th at 9 a.m. and Larry will be leading that. And that BAC, the purpose is to be advisory to the board. We think that makes the most sense. And then the board directs us, Larry, with what to do. So that's where we're at with the budget. We should have a budget to present in January at the next meeting. And we have moved our Mount Escutney meeting, just a reminder, to the 9th, so Larry can be there to do that. I wanted to let you know that Larry is working with Terry Haig to make sure the budget book is printed for the annual meeting. So it will be in color. It will be what you see on the website, but we thought that that was important. So he's going to work with Terry on that. And this is just a timeline that I started thinking about today. So I thought I would bring it to everyone's attention. The town budget meeting is March 3rd at 7 p.m. That's a hybrid meeting at a select board meeting, I believe. So the proposed school budget information meeting, which we can talk about, Davis, maybe talk about that either tonight or at the next meeting. We're suggesting February 27th at 6:30. I think that's a week prior. Our warnings need to be posted by January 28th, and we've got a plan for where all those postings go. And we have a template from last year that we use to kind of guide us through the process. Board members up for seats, Davis and Bill, I believe you're up this year. Woo! 60 signatures needed, or 1% of the population, but we say 60 signatures because that's easier, and those are due by January 27th at 5 p.m. So I just wanted to remind everybody of that, and that is all I have.
Before we move on from that slide, Christine, does anybody have any particular issue with having our informational meeting on, I think it's Wednesday, February 26th?
It is, yeah.
If that works for everyone, I mean, here, we can take a quick look and just have that be a little bit more set.
When is school vacation? The week before?
The week before, yeah.
February 26th, that's the week before school vacation?
Week after.
Week after.
Oh, thank God, I'm like,
School
Week after.
4?
No,
That's the end of February.
February got really long all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's a Wednesday.
yes, it's a Wednesday.
It's good on my end.
I can make it work.
Cool. Not hearing anyone say otherwise, that's good. All right, well, let's say it's semi-officially that date. I think we
Okay.
can, we got a little bit of grace time if somebody
Changes.
missed something or
Yep.
something comes up, but let's plan on that.
In the calendar?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
put it in the calendar.
Like sporting events, if we're wanting to get more people coming, should we be looking at that calendar too?
Yes, that's a good question. I don't know I think that's like playoff season, I'm pretty sure. So I got the regular sports calendar that goes through part of January. I think that usually Brian ends those before playoffs because it gets confusing.
Really hard to plan.
It's really hard to plan around playoffs because you know how teams are gonna do.
And
The playoffs are during the break. I think they.
Oh, you're probably
I think
right.
they
It's
end after
usually
that.
that.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, I just
Yeah.
was thinking.
Yeah, I think the things that when we, maybe at next meeting, we can talk about how we want to do that. If we want to, I know that we've done more of a production with food and stuff the last couple of years. And my recollection is that last year, the feeling was that we might want to revisit that because we had so few people show up. And whether that's a good use of our resources if we're not getting that much crowd, I think is a pretty good question to ask.
Beer and pizza.
That might work.
Pizza.
Might work.
No, I mean, so without having a full conversation, the thing I would just throw out to chew on is maybe we kind of find a happy medium and do like, like desserts, pastries, coffee, like something like that without doing a full meal. Because again, if we're not getting draw on that, I think that's a lot to ask of our food service folks and our just facilities in general to use that whole space. We just do it all in 210 and just have some finger foods.
Yep.
We can talk about them more next time. All right. Is that it for administrative report?
That is it.
Fantastic. All right, so we are on to 6, which is our board discussions, and first up is board onboarding. So this got kicked down the road a couple times. I'm just gonna share my screen on this. I guess I have to find it. The task that I had was to finish working on the, make sure I'm in the right place here, the governance handbook. So I did pull together a draft of that. Let me just, of course, it's the wrong Google account, pardon me. I don't know how this grad school stuff. It's irrelevant. Okay. I think I can share a screen here too. There we go. I'll zoom in a bit on that. We're gonna have a pretty clear view of this. I can get rid of that. There's a note to self. So for our contents, we have our unity of purpose statement, some roles and responsibilities, board governance culture. I figure this would be a good place just to like write out the protocols, like the memos that we've put out, and just have that be kind of a running, single landing space for those, especially since new board members is, we can all look at this, but that's really the prime audience for this. So getting those all in one place, I think is good. A review of our previous or most current fiscal year strategic goals, and then some resources. So just zipping through this quickly for unity of purpose. I believe this is the statement that we came up with at our retreat or shortly thereafter. Which is Madison School District is one district comprising 2 buildings with a capacity and ability to provide the highest quality education for all of our students while utilizing our resources as efficiently as possible. And then I did link the WSESU mission and vision there, which I think that also serves as the district mission and vision, right?
Yes.
We don't, okay. I think we're good with the link there. I could copy and paste them in the document. I don't know what folks think there, but it's all good. It's a digital document, so. VSBA has a really great overview of our school board and superintendent roles and responsibilities, so I just pulled that directly from there. And I think that's all stuff that we know, but it's all spelled out and organized very nicely by them. Up to that space. Governance culture, another thing, we did a lot of this at our retreat, so I just pulled that out of there. I think that we reviewed this before. It's just some good governance culture bullets to be aware of. Protocols, these are mostly what we've done in the last 2 years or so. So our appointment memo, the one thing that I left out of here, I think I had it up top, and I wasn't sure where we landed on it. I don't think we ended up putting out a memo about mid-year resignations, since that does get so subjective and kind of case by case. Does that jive with everybody's memory? Okay. So I'll just pull that out. I wasn't sure if there was a memo I had missed, but I don't think there is. Yep, we got a public comment language. Our most recent strategic goals, and then resources and links. I threw up a few things on here, and this is a place where if you all think of something I missed, I'm sure that there is. I just did the kind of highest level, so VSBA, Mount Scotty School District Board portal, the Southeast Supervisory Union portal, and then the different department pages for that. So there's 4 different sub-department SU level pages. DQS statutes, and then open meeting law. Elizabeth.
I am so sorry that I keep forgetting to send out the email with the, but I did just send it just now. What I always send to candidates, the resources that I send to candidates before they are interviewed.
Awesome. Is that like a list of links as well?
Oops. Yes, they are all links.
Okay, great. Resources for candidates. Cool. Awesome. I'll look at that and put them into this document. Bill, you have your hand up?
Nope.
You're stretching.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Other than some more resources, any notes, thoughts? I think this is something that we can add to. The idea is that this is a living document. So what I would hope is maybe at retreats every year, we look it over and see if there's anything that we want to tweak or, add to, remove, resources, all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
It's awesome, Davis.
Well, thanks, Elizabeth, for sending those resources. And yeah, thanks everyone for hearing me out on that. And I think this is going to make our onboarding just a little bit cleaner. And we have that onboarding memo too, which I think that with this and some of the other larger resources, the school boards and then some of our digital handbook stuff is going to make it a little easier for new folks when we get them. All right, let's stop sharing. And then Christine, I can work with you and the SU office folks just to like letterhead it and make it.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
Definitely.
All right, so that's that. We have a resignation.
We do. So Tony Stevens, our part-time PE teacher at Windsor,
Part-time what?
physical education
Okay.
teacher. It was teaching two periods a day, I believe. Some days 3. He has resigned, and we need to do a board vote on that. The email from Tony was sent to all of you last month. We talked about it briefly in executive session.
Mhm.
Just to jog your memory.
I wasn't here, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, then I can't jog your memory, Bill.
No. You can try.
Because we didn't vote it on it last time.
We
'Cause
didn't.
We weren't saying the name. Is
Yes.
that- okay.
Yeah,
But
we wanted to just be sure we were.
Did it properly.
Yep.
So,
I will take a motion to accept, and what's the name of this member staff?
Tony Stevens.
Tony Stevens. I will take a motion to accept Tony Stevens' resignation.
So moved.
Oop, I heard Megan first, but Elizabeth, you want to?
Second.
There we go. Okay. All right. Any discussion?
Any chance someone can,
I just sent you a text.
okay, thank you.
It's okay. All right. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will do a roll call vote. We'll start online with Amy. How do you vote?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
Bill?
I abstain.
Megan?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
Accepted. Tony's resignation. Okay, next up is item C, which is public high school choice numbers.
Which is, there's a law, high school choice law in Vermont, and it states that the board needs to publicly determine how many students we will allow to engage in public high school choice. And the law says it's 10%, which is 30, not 3. I did my math wrong with Davis this afternoon. Or, so 10% of your population or 40. And the board needs to set that number annually.
And it's whatever number is lower. Is that the guidance? Or do we just kind of
I think
fix it up to us?
I think it's up to you.
Okay.
No, it does say whichever number is lower in the thing.
I thought I saw that in
Thanks,
Kate's
Kate.
email.
Sorry.
I don't have it in front of me.
All right,
And
thanks,
we
Kate.
also have to decide how many we would accept.
From other schools.
Can you elaborate? I'm sorry, I'm not quite understanding what.
So there's a law in Vermont. So any student, high school age student has an opportunity for public high school choice in Vermont. So if you are a Windsor resident and you want to go to Hartford, you can, there's a process, you apply, there's a timeline. The other school has to have space, I believe, and I should have brought it. It's not in front of me, but there are some. The other school,
Stopgaps.
yeah, there's some stop gaps. Thank you, Bill. But the board has to annually set the number of how many students we will allow to leave and how many we will accept in.
Mhm.
Let's see if I
And
can
this
pull
is
it.
high school only?
Yes, high school only.
All right, so you can confirm that the allowing to leave number, that's the 40 or 10%.
Yeah.
So we're at 30. Is that 10% number?
Kate, do you know the total population in Windsor?
In the high school,
Yeah.
it's like one, hold on, let me see.
So, yep. On or before, well, you do that. On or before February 1st, school boards must determine and announce capacity of students allowed to transfer in from other schools. On or before February 1st, school boards may determine and announce, the number of students allowed to transfer out to other schools.
238 in building.
238.
238,
Yeah.
so 24.
24.
Yeah,
Did the math
24.
right this time. And then by March 1st, students seeking to attend different schools for the next following year must apply in writing for choice to the schools where they reside. On or before March 5th, schools whose boards have set a limit on outgoing students and that receive applications to attend different schools in excess of that limit hold a non-discriminatory lottery of outgoing applicants. I guess if you have more than the number. Sending schools immediately transmit choice requests to potential first choice receiving schools.
Mhm.
That goes on.
And this is tuitioned?
No,
No,
free.
it's just,
Mhm.
okay.
there's no
Like
harm.
we pay the tuition?
Nope.
Nope,
Oh.
nobody pays.
No one pays.
Oh, it's
There is
just
no
part of,
tuition.
okay.
Right, it's part of a law.
Okay.
Which means any students that we have coming, we do not get
Right.
any ADM from the state for them.
Mhm.
Any students who leave, we do not lose any ADM.
Do we have to limit the kids who come in? Do we have to limit the number who
Yeah.
come in?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Same 24-ish?
That makes sense to me, right? If we're going to approve 24 outgoing, then we can probably set a limit so that there's
Mhm.
parity there.
I don't think we can set 24 because that's,
Now, what is
More
the
than 10%.
capacity though?
I think a nice round number like 20 might be, or 23 or 22, yeah. 20 is pretty reasonable because there's never that many
No.
that come in that many
I
that
think-
goes.
So
I think I think last year I signed the applications for 2, maybe 3
Yeah.
kids.
so we can say 20, because it's 10%, we can say 24 outgoing and then just set it at 20 for incoming.
Isn't it 10% outgoing or is it?
So outgoing, it's either 40 or 10%, whatever number is lower. So it's 238 students, 10%, it's
24.
24, unless we round it down. It could be 23 too.
I'm reading the law right now.
Christine, as you read that law,
Yeah.
Does the receiving school include in their receiving number students that are tuitioned in?
Say that
Do you
again.
mean like you can choose
Yeah.
like from Weathersfield or Heartland to come to Windsor?
No. What I mean is, okay, let's just use Windsor as an example.
Okay.
If we have students who are paying tuition to come to Windsor, are they counted in the number?
Yes.
In the 20 that we're
Yeah,
saying?
no,
we're
in the
incoming?
total.
In the
why-
receiving number?
In the total number of students in high school?
No,
Yes.
Elizabeth, you're saying in the receiving number, so in the,
In the 238 that Kate's talking about.
No, they do not. They do not count. Tuition students are not included in the school choice.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
they are included in our ADM, right?
They are.
They are,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
okay.
So, may I?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill.
I think we just make it a nice round 20 for both numbers.
So can I just read the law though?
Sure, go right
Okay.
ahead.
Because it's a little bit, it's a different from what we read from the AOE site. So it's Title 16, 822B. So limits on transferring students. And this is under public high school choice.
Yeah.
Ascending high school board may limit the number of resident students who transfer to another high school under this section in each year. So is that like a Heartland or Weathersfield, ascending high school?
I don't like that
No.
word resident.
No.
I don't think so.
No, Amy, what is it? Is that,
So what this pertains to is a town that has a high school, such as Windsor
yep,
or Hartford or Randolph, can't think of too many others.
it's good.
And Woodstock. Let's say that there's a Woodstock student who decides they want to come to Windsor. So that the Woodstock district would be the sending school,
Okay,
and we would be the receiving.
receiving. Okay, that makes sense.
But in terms of Heartland and Weathersfield,
We're the sending school because it's our district.
we are the no, the high school students that we get from Weathersfield and Heartland,
They have
though-
school choice anyway,
yeah, they have school choice.
right?
This law
So they-
has nothing to
Right,
do with
to
them.
do with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
we
so-
need to know how many.
It says, ascending high school board may limit the number of resident students who transfer to another high school under this section in each year, provided that in no case shall it limit the potential number of new transferring students to fewer than 5% of the resident students enrolled in the sending high school as of October 1 of the academic year in which the calculation is made, or 10 students, whichever is fewer. And further provided that in no case shall the total number of transferring students in any year exceed 10% of all resident high school students or 40 students, whichever is fewer.
So
Okay.
was half of that about receiving and half about that was about sending?
Yes.
So
So
it
the-
was 5% to receive and 10% to send? Is that what I heard?
Sending high school board may limit the
Yeah.
number of resident students who transfer to another high school under such section.
I
each year.
thought there was a 5% in there somewhere.
Yes, of new, it shall limit the potential number of new transferring students to fewer than 5% of the resident students enrolled in the sending high school as of October 1 of the academic year in which the calculation is made, or 10 students, whichever is fewer. So that's the sending high school.
Sending,
Only our Windsor residents would be counted in that number.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's exactly what it said.
Wait, hold on. Let me just process this. So the sending high school sending to us?
No.
Or we sending to someone else?
Ascending high school. I mean, it says ascending high school, so
I think it's
that would be
us
us.
sending,
I would,
yeah.
that's how I would interpret it, but
Right,
you
but
could interpret it the other way, I think, too.
can you send that to
Yeah,
me?
I sure can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, just gonna throw this out there.
we've got
Two-
time too. if we need
Yeah,
more
two,
clarification.
that's read my mind. So two things here. One thing just in how that's written is I'm hearing the word may a lot,
Mhm.
We
not
don't need
shall.
to.
Yeah,
So that's one thing to consider. It doesn't sound like we necessarily even have to do this, right?
One said must,
Okay.
one said must and one said may in the AOE guidance.
Got it.
And I can pull that up again.
I'm kind of thinking that because we have until February to do this, and it seems like there's not a great deal of
Confusion. Mhm.
clarity and deep
Yeah.
understanding of what we have to do and how we do it.
Yep.
I think maybe we kick this off until
Mhm.
January or even February.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Well, let's say January. Yeah, we
January.
gotta do it before
Yeah.
February. Let's,
so it does say, and I'll just read it and then I'll send you this document too.
okay,
On or before February 1st, school boards must, it's underlined, determine and announce capacity of students allowed to transfer in from other schools. So
And
that
that's
would be,
just for this program, not
yes,
for,
yes, that's
Okay.
just for, and then on or before February 1st, school boards may determine and announce the number of students allowed to transfer out to other schools.
okay,
So I'll send this to you as well.
okay.
And I can get some clarity. The law is sometimes not that clear.
Mhm.
my real issue is that I have to read it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I am going to move that we table this until our next meeting and then make a decision on it.
So moved.
Yep. Oh, so I move again. Second?
Second.
All right.
Aye.
All right, cool. Elizabeth, aye. Amy,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Megan,
aye.
and I am an aye as well. All right, so we are tabling that one until January. All right.
May I ask you a question? Has the board not ever done this before?
I have no memory of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
Doesn't mean that we haven't, but I have no memory of it.
All right. So we'll come back to that in January with greater understanding and clarity and make an informed decision. Next, we have district clerk. So, unfortunately, I think the last time we talked about this, we had somebody who would sign on to be district clerk, and then that person promptly unsigned up for it. So we're kind of back to square one on that, which is unfortunate. My initial thought, I guess, to kind of lead off this conversation and the decision we might want to make is that right now we offer a small amount of compensation for our moderator. I think it's like $100. I think that given we are asking the person to be our district clerk for a couple, for that time period, it's a day or two of work, but it's pretty involved.
Mhm.
I think it would make sense to offer, I would say, like $300 stipend to do that, partially because I think that it reflects the amount of work that's done.
Yeah.
And also because when you are asking people to do this, it's not particularly enticing if there's nothing but, pats in the back for really doing something very important and time consuming and pretty stressful for a day and a half or so. That is my first thought on it. And I think the second thing that I just want to be really sure before, regardless whether we adopt that, approve that stipend or not, I really want to make sure that when we are putting this out there into the world, the people who are agreeing to it understand end to end what the responsibility is. I know that I think was the issue that came up with West Windsor Town Clerk, and Elizabeth, maybe you can elaborate on that, but I'm not.
I can't really elaborate. It the resignation from the position came like the Monday after election, or the day whenever it was. It was within a few days of election day. So I think that Amy probably got it was her first election, and she probably got a taste for what elections are like, and
Got it.
it's total projection on my part, but that's my guess.
Okay. That context makes a little more sense, because I know that you had spoken to her about what it entailed and what the kind of like breadth and depth of the responsibility was. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I gave her a brief overview, but I really encouraged her to get a hold of Larry, and she
Okay.
did.
Maybe then she resigned.
And then yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know much more than that. You know everything I do.
Got it. All right. Megan?
Because we've talked about this in the past, that there was like a reason why we wanted it to be like a clerk. And are there other qualifications? Like, can this just be anyone? Like, that's what I was curious about.
My understanding is that it can be anyone. The state recommends that we have a town clerk do that job. Amy?
The reason that they recommend that a town clerk have that job is because it's the town clerk who has access to the voter database in order to send out absentee ballots and to just that whole phase of it. They have access to the whole voter database.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if it's somebody who isn't a town clerk doing it, then there's that kind of extra layer of logistics, and they would have to work with the town clerks anyway, I'm assuming, to access those resources.
Exactly. Or provide that information to the town clerk, who then does the work.
Okay. All right.
And at least at town meeting, they're sending out 2 ballots. They're sending out the town ballot and the school ballot. So it's not like they're sending them to the same people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like there's added anything really.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure. What was really challenging the last 3 years, at least when I was the Windsor town clerk, was getting people to come count ballots.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one wanted to do that.
Okay.
Isn't it automated now?
We did buy the machine, yeah.
Okay.
It is, but if there are any write-ins whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
those have to be counted by hand.
Yep.
So if people who are running for an office and they don't get on the ballot because they don't get the signatures on a petition, then there's no name on the ballot, and so they're write-ins, and those have to be hand counted. And there also has to be a reconciliation of the tape from the tabulator with the number of ballots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much counting votes as much as counting ballots.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, it would be really wonderful if the town clerk wanted to do this, because again, it makes sense. But seeing as none of them want to, and we have a new interim in Windsor, and I promptly asked her, and she promptly
Said
declined.
no.
So I think we just need to put it out there to folks.
Yeah. The other piece of it, I mean, just, working with Larry last year, and the person has to be there all day. The
Yep.
person has to get the ballot ready, send it to the printers, get it to where it needs to be, make sure that the Board of Authority,
Board of Civil Authority.
Board of
Civil
Civil Authority, has people that are gonna transport the ballots from West Windsor to Windsor appropriately. There's supposed to be 2 of them.
Or
and the
Windsor
mom-
to West Windsor.
Or Windsor to West Windsor, yeah, either way. So there's some logistics involved. I imagine the town clerk in West Windsor is going to need to be in West Windsor all day running the election.
Right.
So maybe that was kind of the impetus for saying, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna be in 2 places at once.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So each town is going to have a tabulator. So, and the people, wherever that tabulator is going to be, the town that doesn't have a tabulator, those ballots are just going to go into a box. And then at the end of the time, at 7:00 when the polls close, those ballots at whatever town doesn't have the tabulator, those get collected and counted so that there's a known number that are coming over to whichever town. And then those are delivered by 2 JPs. And then they get run through the tabulator, or they get counted again and then run through the tabulator. And then the tape is run. So whichever town clerk takes this on does not have to be in 2 places at the same time.
Okay.
It's good to know.
That
And
is good.
let's say the tabulator, they decide to have the tabulator at Windsor, but it was the West Windsor clerk. The West Windsor clerk can assign a JP to be working at the tabulator.
Mhm.
Okay.
Could we reach out to the JPs in both towns and see if any of them are interested? Isn't there? I don't know. I'm asking you what, I don't know.
So I think.
Amy, aren't you a
probably-
JP?
That's why I'm laughing. Ah.
So I think a logical step forward would be to set up what the responsibility is really clearly, decide on if we're going to create a stipend, and then send that to the 2 town clerks. Not necessarily to say, do you want to do this? Even though that could be laid open, but also have them be the first point of contact to look for someone who might want to do this. Because whoever, if it's not a town clerk, whoever is going to be choosing has to work with the town clerk. So they might have a good idea to see who might be available and willing to do it within their office, within their community.
Sure. I think that's a good idea, and that touches on what I was getting at too. Is I think that tonight what we can do is we can, if everybody agrees with it, and Nancy, we were talking about, I'd recommended a $300 stipend for whoever is the district clerk. So we can agree to that tonight if we're in agreement on that. And I do think too that maybe having Larry and maybe Amy, would you be willing to work with Larry to put together some sort of just like 1 page or like just like a guide outlining everything that role needs to do?
Yes, I can do that.
Awesome. So
And
yeah, I think
there's also the person technically is taking taking the minutes at the information meeting. Unless someone else is doing that, such as the person who normally takes the minutes at our meetings.
I'll look back to see who we had last year. Taking minutes.
I think did
I think it was Leanne.
Leanne do?
I think it was Leanne.
Yeah, okay. Excellent, well, yeah, so stipend, and then Amy, if you can work with Larry and just get a kind of comprehensive resource, so that when we do reach out again, and Bill, I think that it's a good idea to start again with those town clerks, maybe not lean too hard, but say, hey, just, this is information, if one of you are interested or willing to do it, there is a stipend and a comprehensive list of how to do it, and then ask them if they know anybody, see if they can engage us in the process. I do think that because it is now December and we need to get this figured out pretty soon, I would say once we have that comprehensive guide and have agreed on a stipend, I think we should also start reaching out to people in addition to that and not wait to hear.
Yeah.
Just because at this point we need somebody who's willing to do it. If we have it all outlined and can get them in touch with, experts like Larry and like Amy and kind of work, maybe kind of put a committee together to onboard a person to that role. Hey, maybe we have somebody who is not a JP or not a district clerk, but is willing to do this year over year and become really, really good at it. Who knows?
Does it have to be a resident of one of the communities? I thought Amy, does it have to be?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
And does it have to be a JP?
Well, Larry wasn't, so
I don't think.
No. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I think it could be beneficial for it to be a town clerk or a JP, but that's just a guidance, not a requirement.
Yeah. And a JP doesn't have access to the voter database.
Yep.
It's the town clerks who do. But on election day, on town meeting day, when people are voting, it's JPs who are working at the polls.
Mhm.
So a district clerk or town clerk appoints the JPs to work at whatever stations at the polls.
All right. Well, I will take a motion to approve a stipend of $300 for our district clerk.
So moved?
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
Sorry, I do have one question.
Yeah, sure.
Is this 300 number, is it just based off of what we paid the moderator, or did you ask around other towns? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I did not ask
Okay.
around other towns. My assumption is that if we're giving the moderator $100 to do a single night, and the clerk
I
has to
was
do.
just curious.
Yep.
No, that makes sense. I was just curious about what went behind that number, that's all.
Yep. No, that was kind of my off the cuff reasoning. I think for this year, makes sense to me, and that we are in a little bit of a time crunch, but I think that, upcoming years, we can maybe look at that. I think that there are, without delving into a different conversation, I think there are a number of kind of these kind of appointed things that we need to look at compensation at some point, a little bit more, in a little bit more detail. All right, any more discussion on that motion? Okay, hearing none, I will take a roll call vote, starting with Elizabeth. How do you vote?
Aye.
Amy?
Abstain.
All right. Bill?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
And I am an aye. All right, so the motion passes. All right. And then the other part of that, I don't think we don't need to vote on it, but, Amy, I appreciate you being willing to work with Larry to put together a document. And then I think if we can do that subcommittee like we did last year, I'm happy to sit on that. Just make sure that whoever we do end up with, we're onboarding them in communication, making sure things run smoothly. I think we do have time right now, but we definitely need to get somebody in there in the next month or so. Okay. Moving on to the last item on our list is regional high school conversation. So a few weeks back, and I appreciate Elizabeth being the primary organizer of this, but a number of folks, I think it was less than a quorum, but a few folks on this board spoke with a couple of board members from, what was it, Hartford, Woodstock, Springfield. I'm saying, I think it was those three. About the possibility, just investigating the possibility of there being a regional high school that would serve those communities. So Springfield, Windsor, West Windsor, Springfield, RSU, Woodstock, and the towns in that SU, and then Hartford Supervisory Union. Looking, sort of preparing for guidance that we may be getting from the Commission on the Future of Education in Vermont, and some other guidance that we're anticipating. I think the idea is to start investigating this now before we get directives from the state. So yeah, any other, Bill?
Well, I think it was a great first sort of initial dive into it.
Yeah.
I was really surprised on the warmth of reception from Hartford. Actually, I shouldn't be surprised because their building is falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Not to the level of Woodstock, but still, they're starting to have pretty serious issues. Talking to the building manager there, and at the high school, when they ever refer to the new windows, they're talking about windows that are 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Springfield less so. The board member that came was very new and very receptive and partook somewhat in the conversation. But I think overall they just invested a bunch of money into their high school. Mm-hmm. So I think they're feeling pretty secure, mm-hmm. more so than they should be. And of course, Woodstock is just in dire need of something before things start crumbling down on top of their heads.
Yep.
But Elizabeth kind of had a bombshell at the beginning in which she talked about the prison farm property being donated to the AOE, which, afterwards, the more I thought about it, the more it kind of looked like a possibility, and really not a bad one either. So,
Elizabeth, do you want to speak to that more? Because I don't know.
Well, it was it is not, let me just be absolutely clear here.
Okay.
There is nothing written down about this possibility. Okay. I have had a conversation with the chair of, we have been talking, now we've been talking about the Windsor prison lands for years and years, and what to do with it and what would be an appropriate use for it. And everybody agrees that some kind of educational facility would be a great use for it. And it's quite a lot of land. And it would be appropriate, and we wouldn't necessarily have to even use all of the land. But the deal would be to ask the state of Vermont to donate the land to the Agency of Education for the purpose of using it as our regional high school. So we would not, The idea being obviously that we would not have to incur the expense of purchasing the land. However, it would still, there's still a lot about that location and the stress on the town that really need to be considered when thinking about it.
Mhm. Yep.
When Tom Marsh has been asked directly before about various uses of the Windsor Prison lands, one of the things he frequently brings up is the county road. And so
Yep.
we can speak colloquially here because we all know what the county road is. So the county road is not in the right kind of shape to receive the kind of traffic that that
A
a
regional
school,
high
like
school.
a daily travel like a high school would require. I don't know anything about roads. I'm completely ignorant about roads, so I don't know what kind of upgrades would be required, whether that would be part of. I don't know whether it would be a burden on the town that's unnecessary. I really don't know. I don't mean to sound as though I'm not enthusiastic about the idea of using that land as
Well, a couple things
site
would
is-
happen. I,
What's
I
that?
think is that that the county road would have to become a state road, and there's precedent for that within the town of Windsor alone, because the Narrows used to be a town road, and 4A used to be a state road, and so Windsor and the state switched so that the state could fix the Narrows. They rose it up 10 feet. And so I think that would be the first thing that would happen. At the same time, when looking at the total expense of constructing a regional high school of probably somewhere between $150 and $2 million, the purchase price of a land probably would be fairly minimal in comparison to the overall construction. So, but it is definitely an interesting prospect to have that piece of land become available and then have the means to make it accessible through some fairly large scale construction on a fairly short piece of road when you look at the overall scale of things. But
It's true, and and again, it would be perfect. But let me just reiterate, that is not a deal that is written down anywhere.
Right.
It was a thought that was tossed out. So
Yep.
I just want to make that absolutely clear.
And I think I'll expand upon that, this being only thoughts, and that this conversation is really, in this space and with these folks from other districts, this is brainstorming, looking at things that may be coming down the pike. I mean, obviously, if that is a conversation happening in that, and was this around the commission, Elizabeth, that conversation was happening, or?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Was the conversation about the potential transfer of the prison property, was that happening in the context of the Commission on the Future of Education, or in some other state?
No, it was in the context of options for the Windsor prison lands.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, these are conversations, it's a need that people are seeing, and I think that, to kind of bring some folks to Bill, what you were saying, there are a lot of reasons why this is bubbling up, and I think that we're engaging in this conversation so that should it come down the pike is something that becomes apparent that we need to do or we are compelled to do by the state, we're already having that conversation and are familiar with some of our options. and some of the reasons why. To me, the highest level ones, I mean, Bill, you talked about it a good deal, is buildings and grounds costs. I mean, aging facilities all over the state is a major issue. We saw this in our budgets last year, and districts all over the state saw this last year. The thing that gets pushed off is buildings and grounds costs. School buildings are not self-healing. Every year that goes by, those things don't get fixed or get patched up. And I mean, we have amazing buildings and grounds folks who do a ton with what they have. But as we're tightening our belts and really trying to focus on our students, those things get left behind and buildings get in worse and worse shape. So one of the main reasons that I think there's some receptivity in the folks who have spoken about this locally and from these other districts is that if you have one larger building that is getting funds from multiple towns, that is not a bunch of smaller facilities getting funds from those individual smaller groupings of towns. You have some cost savings built in there without having to, read too many studies or doing too much brain work about that. I think that the other question about it is and I'd be interested to see some data on this if it came out at the state of Vermont level, or maybe find some case studies from other places that have gone through similar processes to see what kind of expansion of student services, opportunities, whether it's in having like a larger technical center, different divisions of sports teams, higher divisions and more competitive,
Right, but also having the population to have, and the infrastructure within the building to have an on-site doctor's office, an on-site dentist, even for a few days or 1 or 2 days a week, to be able to even look at the facility size, to have a on-campus community college presence, to think about creating even dorm rooms for juniors and seniors who want to come from tuition towns farther up north to participate in the robust, really large technical center we could build. And so, and I stated this is that, I really think it's foolish for the state of Vermont to pass by this opportunity in which they have locations on the I-91 and I-89 corridor that is just ripe for consolidation, not just for cost, but for quality, to be able to offer the programs that are often missed within smaller high schools, where all of a sudden you have the student population to have an on-site advanced calculus class of 20, 30 students, or an advanced biology anatomy class of that number of students, to have the technical center that has a full offering of ROTC, and to have a full offering of law enforcement training, and all those technical skills that are so really important today, to create a site that could actually serve those needs at a cost over the long haul that is going to save the taxpayer a significant amount of money.
What would the size of that school be with those four?
You're really looking at just the schools that we talked about, a minimum of about 1,500 students.
I think it's more like 2,000, Bill.
Yeah, I think you would have to build for 2,000. But you have to remember that that doesn't include the technical center as well.
What grades does it, would it be?
It'd be a 9. It'd be a straight high school.
High school.
Yeah. And with the thought that in certain locations along exit 9, you're really within 90%, and I'm ballparking here, but I know the lay of the land. 90% of the student population is within 30 minutes away. I mean, that's just, and it's the same thing on I-89 in that Montpelier area, Barry and so forth, in which you have access to that. And with that, then you can go ahead and focus on strengthening your smaller elementary schools.
Mhm.
I did look into the legality of it, and there is a path. So there's even a path without our combining supervisory unions. We could just create a high school district.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think at minimum, though, I feel it would be really important to, at a minimum, merge RSU into a single district. I think governance-wise, that would make it manageable. I really don't see much resistance to that when considering what this would be creating for Heartland and Wethersfield. It would kind of eat up most of their tuition options in the area. So anyway, but also I think the Norwich, Vermont came up as an option. If
Yep,
looking.
they're interested as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have to say that just in full transparency, I don't have the capacity to continue leading this. I just don't have
Yeah.
the time at the moment.
All right.
Well, Elizabeth, I don't mind taking it over if that's the case. But seeing that you did the
got it
original,
started.
yeah,
Yeah.
you did the original sort of gathering. I felt it important for you to sort of kick off that, at least the first discussion. So thank you for doing that.
And I believe the next steps, if I recall, was since we had that sort of, testing the waters touch base, we're just to have some sort of warned larger meeting, bring
Yes.
some more folks in. So,
Yep.
Yeah, we will make sure the word gets out about that. I mean, it's not really just for folks on a governance level to talk about it, but it's something that even as we're even looking into the possibility of maybe doing this, which really is where we're at right now. We want to be able to engage with stakeholders all through our community, students, community members, parents, teachers, staff, and then like everybody. We're gonna want to chat with everyone about this as we go about it. So yeah, watch this space. And we'll keep that ball in the air. Any other thoughts for right now before we move on to setting the next agenda and wrapping up? All right. Well, thanks, Bill. Thanks, Elizabeth, for really, as Bill said, pulling this together, and thanks, Bill, for some of the context and some of the possibilities that might offer. All right. So we are on to setting the next agenda. And I know that one thing that is definitely going to be there is our public high school choice numbers.
Yep. And then
Budget.
Yep. Administrative report will have the quarterly financials in the budget.
Mhm.
And then I put February budget information, meeting logistics under items for discussion.
Yep. Yeah, that's the meeting that we usually really do our
Yeah.
in-person planning on that. And then I can kind of carry forward the offline since it's planning.
Christine, my request is that we get as much budget information as possible in advance of the meeting.
Yep. It should be, the budget book should be ready this week, Elizabeth, and I'll have Larry, it's gonna go on live on the website, but I'll have him send it to all of you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we should probably plan on keeping that district clerk item
Oh,
there
yeah, that's a
too.
good.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And worst comes to worst, I can kind of dip into the Yates workforce to see if any of them want to sort of step up for a year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a decent onboarding plan with Amy and Larry's expertise and some of that SU level organization. Like I said, I'm happy to sit in those meetings as well and just be another set of board eyes and ears. That worked really well last year, just make sure
Yeah,
things
it
ran
did.
smoothly.
Yep.
So I think doing that again makes sense. Yeah, anything else? Yeah, I think budget's probably gonna take up a lot of time, so
Yep.
having a short agenda makes a lot of sense for January 9th.
Yep.
Not 6th.
At Windsor next
At
time.
Windsor.
Yep.
There we go.
Going through the support staff data, I'm just blown away in the number of special ed paras we have.
There's still not enough.
Yeah, it's still not enough. No, yeah, it's just crazy.
All right. So next agenda sounds good.
Okay.
Do we have any need for executive session? I certainly don't. All right. Well, in that case, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. And voice vote, all those in favor of adjourning, please say aye now.
Hi.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? No? Okay. All right. so
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy
Happy New Year.
We'll adjourn this
See you
meeting
till
of the
next month.
Manasquatney School District Board at 8:07 PM. And happy